back again in the saddle of Team Huddle. I'm Jalen Holston, and with me, as always, are my friends Keone McKee, Jared Shirai, and Nolan Chang. On this show, we give you all the ins and outs of things volleyball related. We give you some coaching advice and all that good stuff. Boys, how are we doing today? How's the vibe?
Fantastic.
Did we have a good 4th of July?
Go fuck
Celebrating
yourself.
America.
Yes. Go fuck yourself.
Jared definitely had a great 4th of July.
Hell yeah, we did.
Hell
America.
Man.
Well, I was working, so, you know.
I thought it was cool to see all the clips of it's girls, so they always go extra with it, right? But all the girls teams with their, 4th of July gear, and all the refs were wearing some 4th of July stuff and whatnot. It's always neat to see the community get together in that way for special holidays over, us going to work. Not every athlete gets all the holidays off. Sometimes you got a big old nationals tournament over the 4th of July. You don't get to do all the typical barbecue and, fireworks stuff and all that good jazz. But hey, it is what it is. It's life. Let's do our weekly check-ins with the coaches. Keone, I'll let you kind of get things started. And maybe I'll save the best for last. Let no.
I guess Nolan's last.
Clearly not. Keone, how you doing, buddy? How's it going?
I am fantastic.
You're so full of energy. What do you get more sleep, or is there something else afoot here? It looks like you've got a lot more pep in your step.
It just seems like there's some stuff that you take every morning, every day of your life. You enjoy the flavor of it. You enjoy the time with it, and you just seem to get a new kind of energy from it. So,
man, it's almost as if somebody should have ordered the sample pack and gotten the other shaker to go with it, so it looked more uniform.
Sustainable energy.
Instead of
Tell me what team you're really supporting over there.
Oh, poor Nolan.
But hey, who's to say?
Wow. You will all die.
We have literally shit on Nolan for the last 15 minutes of his
for real though. Yeah, this was good.
Poor guy.
I like how you made him laugh. That was funny. Anyway, I got good news from the Drunken League. Obviously, as I stated before, I don't have the trophy anymore because I took it into work to let them, display it for everybody. But we ended up with the dub.
Yes,
We
sir.
were the champions of the league.
You're
Beautiful.
listening. Keone's
posting
up his picture of his team winning the chip.
Yeah,
For those who are
exactly.
just listening. So.
Yeah, I know. So we did take number one. It was a hard-fought battle. We did the back-to-back thing for the semifinals and the finals game. On top of being most improved from last year, overall, this team just played outstanding. The last game, the final game, was really not even really a game. I'm going to be real honest here. We did want another team because we thought they'd be, one, they were the only team to actually beat us twice in the actual season. And two, because I did feel like they were like a better matchup for us. And I really wanted that revenge game. But at the same time, can't complain. We took the dub. We ended up beating the number one seed to end the season. And I think, they played their hearts out. I shout out to my crew from the Pump Well and from the 99 shop. You guys killed it. So, we'll see as we head into the next division next year how we can do there. But yes, it will definitely be a step up in competition. So let's do this damn thing. Do it. Wow.
Absolutely, man. Well done. It's almost like they had a coach on the court that was really getting them in the right spots and telling them where they need to be. Well, anyway, let's move on to our easily most successful coach in the pod right now. And it's not even a question. Jared Shirai, how are you doing today?
I fucking hate you. Oh, I love it.
Seems like you got a lot of hardware on there.
I got a little bit of hardware on,
Yeah.
We'll get to that. No, I had a great week. We had soiree with my girls, finished them off a little bit until Saturday. Flew out on Sunday morning to start Boys Junior Nationals. Monday through Thursday, got back last night. Man, we've had this team for 2 years. I'll say this. From where we started to where we are now, I mean, not just the hardware to prove it, but we've only had the boys program for 2 years. These kids have been something special. A lot of juniors. And I had 5 seniors, 3 sophomores, 5 seniors, 3 juniors, and a sophomore. And man, the seniors literally balled out. Everybody had a role. And for those of you not viewing this, and because it is a podcast, We did take second in the 18 USA division. Hello, Lila. Hi, B.
Lila. Hello, puppy.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
microphone
This is
is going.
definitely going on social media right there.
100% that's getting clipped.
We got to clip that. No, but finished second overall to a team that it was a very well put together team. They were from Colorado.
Nice.
They were Team Colorado Black. I don't think they dropped a set all tournament. They had some bangers on their team. I don't think they should have been playing in the USA division. I think they could have competed very well in the Open, but I mean, it is
You
what it
don't
is,
say.
and
Sounds
we
like a common thing.
yeah, we tip our hat to them because I think that's one of the best matches my boys played despite the loss, and that team on the other side, they were very well put together, but they were very respectful in every regard. They didn't walk around like they were the shit or anything, and so yeah. But for those of you, because maybe Nolan will put it on the I do have the trophy. I have the
I will
trophy.
not.
Unlike Kale.
I will
I'll
not.
edit it for you, Jared.
I
I'll
have the
put
trophy
it on
here.
there.
We got
Put it
the
on
nice
Pro
little
Play's
silver
page,
ball. Yes, and then for those of you who don't know,
I'll post a
I do
picture of
coach-
my trophy and your
I do coach
trophy.
for
And
Pro
then
Play.
And then my
My
trophies.
shirt right here, but yeah. So
and then Nolan just standing
Oh.
there.
But yeah, that's how my week went. It was yesterday was kind of a blur after it was done, just because the seniors, on the pictures and
Yeah.
the talking and everything, and there's a lot of emotions running high because for a lot of kids, they had told me this is my first volleyball medal, and to send them off as seniors in that regard, it's amazing. So yeah.
Yeah. It's what
No,
you
God,
live for, man.
Nolan also tried to run away with the trophy when I saw him yesterday. So
Makes
kudos to
sense.
you,
Sounds
Nolan.
like Nolan. Okay. Yep. Absolutely.
Fight tooth and nail to get that hardware, and I will run to the depths of the earth.
Yeah, man. It seems like Colorado kind of popped off because I think I saw the one of the girls teams from Colorado was like top in their 16s division.
Yeah.
And I think they played like top 3 in their 18s division too. So it sounds like
Yeah.
Colorado's
And
kind of
from
turned up a little bit.
What we discussed with some of the boys Colorado coaches is that now Colorado has approved boys volleyball as an official sport for it, so it's going to
Oh,
be starting to
nice.
grow a lot out there. Yeah.
okay,
That's cool.
Okay.
Let's say
that is
Missouri
cool.
just did the same as recently. So the
Yeah.
word gets around, and soon enough, it's going to be everywhere, and it's awesome to see sport growing on that side of things.
Hell yeah.
So Nolan, go ahead and tell us about your week at Nationals. Seems like you had a really good time. You were super positive. Nothing bad happened. So go ahead and just give us some details. How'd that go, buddy?
No, actually,
How's
I'm gonna murder you, Jared.
I think people want to see what the medal looked like up close.
Breathe.
I'm just saying, just in case. And if you want to read the bottom, there you go.
Oh,
USA
damn.
Division Silver Salt
Damn.
Lake,
I'm
Utah.
blind, Jared. No, but no, same as Jared, I had the soiree 4-day tournament leading up to the boys national. So it's been 8 days straight of tournament volleyball.
Lord have mercy.
Starting off with that, yeah. So girls tournament was going pretty solid. The last day, Sunday, I had to move some players around due to my player who I was going to use as my 6-2 setter. Her knuckle or tendon was swollen, and I didn't want her overusing the setting motion too much. So I put her back at libero because she's technically our best libero. And I really don't care if this other parent hears it. The one who was going to play libero, I asked that girl to play DS because I'd rather have both of them in the back row playing defense at the same time when possible.
I like defense.
Before the
Yes,
first
sir.
game, the mom decides to pull me aside and berate me as to why her daughter is playing DS and not libero. And, this is emotionally crushing her daughter and this and that. And I was
Oh,
like,
boy.
look, I was
One
like,
of those.
I wanted to have her there so we could have two great defensive players play.
Was that the
in
exact word she used? Emotionally crushing?
Yep. And she's like,
Wow.
she wants to leave now and blah, blah, blah. I was like, what would you like me to do? She's like, I want her to play libero. I was like, okay, we'll play libero. She'll play libero, and I'll have everyone else go back to what their other positions were. And I ended up making the better libero, the DS. And I guess the mom went over to the girl and told her, like, you're playing libero, and she switched back her jersey. And every parent, I guess, caught wind, and every player caught wind of what had happened. And half the girls were like, she better give me a good fucking pass or I'm not going to let her hear the end of it. I was like, right on. I really don't care. This is the last day with you guys. If I just want you guys to have a good time and play. So do what you need to do. All the
Damn.
parents, because I guess that parent's been a little bit of an issue lately. Everyone like slowly would walk by me and like, we support you, Nolan. Don't worry about anything. I was like, thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that full heartedly.
Super random, but do you ever feel like maybe the parent who is like that is possibly a parent who didn't play sports, or is it?
I don't know.
I think it's a mix. I think it's
See,
a
you're
mix
better than me. I
sometimes.
would have been like, okay, you can leave. Like, I was
Well,
like, I have no
The
patience
thing
for
is,
that shit.
I wanted to win my flight, and I needed any possible way to do so with only about 7 girls. So,
I mean,
then
if those
the
7
last
girls
day-
want to play and aren't about their personality, about what
No,
jersey
yeah,
they're
yeah.
wearing, I
if
bet you
this
would
was
have done
something in
fine.
the beginning of season, I would have said, okay, well, you can have your daughter.
This is
practice
how
or
sports
something.
work. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some people play, some people don't play.
Yeah.
I had to
Yeah,
kind of.
and I was like,
not
I really
not the
don't
same
understand.
issue, but
Like, we have a potential of 2 games. We win these 2. We win our bracket. We get a nice little plaque saying we won our bracket. And this is the upset thing that you're going to be about right now. Cool. Sounds good. I'm just trying to get out of here and fly back to Utah to start my boys tournament anyway. But needless to say, due to some stupidity on the ref's end, we did not win our bracket in the final match.
Damn.
And I'll leave it at that. Boys tournament, obviously I did not come home with the hardware, but my boys did finish top 6 in the nation for their division. So I'm eternally blessed and proud of how they performed. It's unfortunate we played a Big Island team, who I think really should have been in the USA, potentially even open, just based on how they were playing. They had this outside who
Say their name.
Pilipa'a. Pilipa'a.
Pili Pa.
Pilipa'a.
There
Sorry.
you go. I got you. I got you.
We faced them in the first pool play. Took them to 3. We're the only team to take a set from them on the first 2 days. So the boys were very hungry after that. Went off to our secondary pool play. And then the final day, of course, gold bracket matchup. They're our first game. So we go in there. Unfortunately, boys did not kind of adjust in the right ways we needed them to, but they played their hearts out. So I'm very proud of how they performed. The team that ended up winning our division that we also played in the first pool play, Molten from Arizona, should not have been a club division team. Apparently, from what we gathered, they are Mormon based, and because AAU bid that they had would have played on Sunday, they decided not to go do that because they can't do anything on Sundays. So they came to USAV Nationals instead, ran the table, ended up beating Gus in the championship, and taking gold. Gus ended up
Was
getting
that a close
silver.
game? Did you watch it?
It was not.
Oh, really? Because
It
I
was,
thought
it
Gus's
was
team
like
was pretty good too.
25-22 the first set, and I think it was I don't think they reached 20 the second set.
Damn.
But they were a very well spread team, Molten. So that's the way the cookie crumbled on that end. But the boys performed admirably. I think that our middles were utilized just in the right ways, and I think that's something we'll get into in a bit. Our middle actually ended up getting all tournament honors.
I was gonna say
so,
which kid got all tournament for
yeah,
you?
it was our middle high
Nice.
flyer,
Nice.
above the block most of the time, but it just so happened that the teams we faced were most of the teams that we lost to on this weekend were all the gold bracket teams. So it's no harm, no foul in that respect. I think that these teams deserved to be in the gold bracket, and we battled against each of them, and we were just one game away from at least getting the bronze medal. So it is what it is, but I am proud of the boys because this was a team that we Mod Podge together 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So most of them had not played next to each other at all this whole season and did well. A lot of tears from them, a lot of tears on all ends from parents. So good for them. And we have a good core coming back next year for our 18s run. And with our new club, C2 Sports Academy, we're gonna make some big noise in there.
Yeah. It always gets emotional. I think, we talk about club volleyball in so many ways. Like for the girls' side, it's always, I don't know, for me at least, the girls' side of the club, I feel like is somewhat detriment to how we operate as high school coaches. Whereas for boys, because it's such a a new experience for most of them, right? Either they've never played, this is their first couple of years in the sports, they're learning about everything that goes into it, like that whole experience, right? And hopefully eventually we get to a point where it's more like girls, where they're playing from 4 or 5 years old. But as we stand today, boys aren't playing until 13 and 14, most likely, if they're lucky, right? So again, I think hearing those experiences of how your boys reacted and stuff, and then the classic issue of what it is to play club for girls, being upset over literally things that are not meaningful. Wearing a libero jersey or not for a girls team is just, it can't be bothered. It's the end of the world. Whereas boys show up, oh, cool, we're at nationals. Look at all these teams. It's fun. Let's go play. Like that is the epitome of those two dichotomies with nationals. So it's very
I want to speak on that a little
interesting.
bit because that's awesome. Because I had a kid, my sophomore. He played for me at Olu. We needed a ninth body. Came in. This kid literally tells me, "Coach, I don't need to play, man. I'm just here for the ride. I'm loving it." He was, and this kid for 4 days would not shut up. Like, he was the best teammate, like cheering on every little thing. First to go sprint after a ball and shag. It came in clutch for us in some moments to serve. And like Nolan talks about jerseys and everything. I had a setter that was playing right back defense. That sophomore kid ended up playing some right back defense because he was a libero. So my setter became a serving sub for one of my middles, and in a semifinal against Pac Rim, served the last 3 balls, clutch moment. And these kids just come in like, we just want to win. And they're like, they won, and they're like, we're in the championship, man. And like, it was crazy, and none of them cared what position they played. And I was like, I know it's not you wanted to set, but man,
buy in.
You did your job, bud. And he's like, hey, it's about the team, and we're in the championship game. We're playing for a medal. Like, everybody's about everybody else. And I told him it's not about any volleyball. It's about you guys being bigger than that and playing for each other. And just wanting to get one common goal. And like, I think sometimes that's the difference, like you said, between boys and girls volleyball. It's like they'll do whatever it takes to win.
We had
100%.
We had one boy who was on my 17s team, probably I would say maybe 3rd, 4th string outside. He just doesn't have the vertical athleticism, I guess you could say, to be one of the starters. He has a good mind. He plays a lot of beach, a lot of grass, and it's probably his whole life is volleyball. But we went into nationals telling him, hey, man, look, we're not going to use you front row. You're going to be a serving specialist because your jump serve, when it's on, is the best jump serve anyone on this team has. So if you can buy into that, you're going to go far in this tournament. And literally every game he was going back there and ripping that jump serve. And I was like, hey, this is what we need you to focus on. You come in, you rip that serve, play some defense. If it ends, it ends. If not, just be ready for the next go around. And so he bought into that and loved the way he performed this season, or this tournament.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the old saying, right? Like, girls have to come together before the battle. Meanwhile, boys will come together during the battle. And that's just, that's the classic. You see it maxified at nationals. Like, that is exactly how that goes. Because that's why, like, when you get a good girls team together, you celebrate it so much, because there's so many other obstacles to get them to get to that point of not being selfish, not worrying about who's wearing what jersey, not worrying about who's starting and sitting. Like, whereas boys, like, it's so much easier to get through that phase of the ego, at least from my experience, where you just, it's like you shoot them straight and like, look, y'all can either sit here, fight with each other, or we can get over it and try to win a volleyball game. And 9 times out of 10 for a boys team, once somebody else starts talking smack on the other side of the net, the primal instinct comes out a little bit, and they're like, all right, F this. I don't like you, but we got to win this game. You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of how that goes. But yeah, so it sounds like Nationals was awesome. USA has also had some very good games recently. I think our women had dropped a game to China in 5 sets most recently in the VNL, which was a bit of a head scratcher, but damn, that lefty outside from China, Ying, I think it was just Ying or whatever her name was, absolutely popped off. They could not stop this woman, and she obliterated us for 5 sets in a row. It was insane to watch. Meanwhile, on the other side for the men's teams, we had a great match against Cuba. Cuba is a really disgustingly good team, but somehow just doesn't quite get over the hump to win all of these games, because the athletes they have and their service pressure is just, I don't like, it's unreal, man. It is crazy good. Jared, did you catch any of the VNL stuff in the most recent weeks from
Not really the
highlights or
women's
whatever?
side. I watched the highlights from the Cuba match, and like you said, yeah, freak athletes. Man, USA loses that first set because they won 27-25.
Yeah.
They lose that first set. I think Cuba's kind of like on that high rise, but
Oh yeah.
since that first set when they lost, like Cuba kind of just played down. But it was nice to see them run their actual lineup. You know,
Yes. Finally.
like they had Holden Smith in the middle, they had Russell and DeFalco, Anderson,
Mhm.
Christensen, and Shoji. I mean, and they kind of kept that. And then when they were killing Cuba in the end, you got to see a little bit of Jasky, and Jasky was killing it, man.
Yeah. He
Jasky
absolutely
really
was.
was killing it, and I was like, dang, this kid is looking good. So
Yeah.
I mean, it was nice to get and they're at home. They're in Anaheim. For those of you that don't know, like
Yes.
they're it's a short commute. You know, they're playing in front of home base fans, and it's kind of awesome in that regard. So
Were
I
they?
mean,
Let's say I know they're in Anaheim. Are they just at the
I think
Honda
they're at the
Center or
convention
whatever?
center. I think they're at
Convention
the
Center.
convention
Okay.
center.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. So I don't know if you follow like a lot of. I think it was Taylor Avro. They're super restrictive of anything you can do. Like this guy said, "Oh, I couldn't wear my scarf because they didn't want him to wave around a flag or something." And so,
The
like, and
hell?
there's all these like these things you really, literally can't do. And Taylor, I was like, "Just let the fans be fans." Like he's like so mad about it, and I would be too.
Yeah, because you
So-
go overseas and it's like you got fucking
Dude, you go
vuvuzelas
overseas, it is
going where you
crazy.
serve. There's flags flying around,
Yeah.
right? Like constantly.
Exactly.
So like, why are we all out of all the sporting events, mind you? We're talking about men's and women's volleyball. All of a sudden, we have to be like tennis crowds and just do like a golf clap or something. If something
Yeah.
amazing happens, like what?
It's so crazy. So I
That's
don't know,
crazy,
but-
man.
But yeah, it's nice to that they're here. Hopefully, maybe if I get the opportunity, I can go catch a game. If not, I mean, I'm just gonna keep up the way I've been. So
Yeah, same. Anyways, let's move on to our positional series as we continue. Last week, I think we did outside hitters. Today, we're going to be talking about those middle blockers, and I always refer to them as middle blockers.
Thank you.
Primarily. Now, some people are middle hitters. That is
And
their
you'd
life,
be wrong.
and
That
that's just how it
sounds so
is.
weird. It like hurts my ear actually. hearing you
But-
say
Middle hitter.
it.
the
Yeah.
position
no, coach, I'm just a
is
middle of like oh my
middle
God.
blocker.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
stand
Position is
middle.
middle
You have to be middle of the bench. If you don't shut the
On God. Anyways, let's lead off the charge with Mr. Keone. How have you ever tried to teach someone to play middle? What are some things you look for somebody to play that position, girls or guys? Like either way, what's in your mind there?
So I'll say this right off the bat. Most of the time that I played, I was either a middle or a right side. So it is a position that's kind of near and dear to my own heart because it's something that I, growing up, had to get used to playing, especially because I was never like a super talented hitter. And like I said before, I mentioned on the pod prior, I worked very hard to get to where my athleticism was. It wasn't something that I was born with. You know, I wasn't like a leaper, like right out the gate. So it was something that I had to really work on getting my leg strength up and all that kind of stuff. And one thing that I will say about middles that I liked to instill when I was working, so like I said, rudimentary level where I'm kind of coaching, right? It really is a position, and it's funny because Nolan had mentioned it prior to this. It's a position where you really have to buy in, because I always tell like anybody who's playing the middle position, like it's one of those positions where you're not always going to get the look that you want. You may, kind of be a bailout option sometimes. I know for like when I was playing, a lot of times it was not always like that, perfect moment where they had like, they could choose between all three. You get a great pass. The setter has the options to set you or any of the other two outside people. Like usually they tend to, push it towards those guys as opposed to you. And you're just kind of there. You're a distraction guy a lot of the times. But it's a buy-in position for sure. It's one of those positions where you're going to be working very, very hard. You're going to be doing a lot of the work. I like to call it the backbone of volleyball because it really is that. I mean, you set the block for your team. It really sets up where your defense is going to play off of you. It's, you're moving back and forth on both sides of the net. And it's not easy. It's a lot of footwork. It's a lot of getting your timing down right. And, it's not a glory position, I don't think, because you're having to do all those types of things. And especially at the younger levels, like typically you pick a kid who's probably like just your biggest kid. He's not, necessarily going to be like your best outside. He's not going to be like the strongest passer, but he's just going to be like the tallest kid you got. And I think it's one of those things where for me, like my team specifically, obviously the tallest kid ended up being the middle. He was a little slower footed. Wasn't necessarily like the greatest hitter, but I just told him, I was like, for all the things that you're not going to do on the court, you're going to be very important for what this team does, because you really will, you set up our plays, you help us in the middle, or you set the blocks. I mean, there's a lot of things that you do that people won't appreciate and they won't see on the stat sheet at the end of the day, because, it's a lot of stuff that doesn't get glorified. You're essentially the Dennis Rodman, of this team. You're going to do a lot of things that people don't really notice. So for that situation specifically, especially with like the younger guys, it's really that ideal. Like you have to really build that identity with them, that they're going to be, left out on a lot of big plays. There's going to be a lot of those moments where they're probably going to go to the outside, and you want, especially when you're younger, you kind of have that ego where you want to hit and you want to get that big highlight moment, but it doesn't come as often as you'd like it to come. But when it does come, be ready. And for him specifically, like he played outstandingly. One thing that he obviously led us in was blocks for that entire season. But on top of that, it was that identity of just being there in every single play. Like I told him, I was like, there's going to be a lot of times where you're just going through the motions, you're doing the full swing motion, you get to the middle and, the ball doesn't come to you, and you're just going to keep doing that over and over, and you're going to get really tired. But we upped his conditioning. We upped how his footwork was. And once he got like that coordination and all that kind of stuff down, like it was a huge boon for our team. Like to have a guy like that who can just set that tone, whether it's on offense or defense for us, like it made such a big difference. And I'll say it to the end of the day, like that, you are the backbone. When you're in the middle, you do a lot of things that just go unnoticed. But, here we are. I was like, it wasn't fun always playing in the middle, but I will say it was definitely one of those positions that it made me appreciate the game of volleyball, and it's a very nuanced type of thing. So yeah, that's what I got for you.
Absolutely. Nolan, middle blockers, the technical name. What do you look for as far as trying to develop those players for girls or guys, whatever? Like, what are big keys and themes that you look for your middles?
Keone brought up a lot of great points. I always tell my middles are the unsung heroes of volleyball. They don't get as much credit unless it's a big bounce or something along those lines, or a big block. But they have to be your first line of defense and your first line of offense, right? They're the quick hit.
They also get a lot of the blame. Things don't happen. Just put it out
that's
there.
very true. And this will probably go into our setter segment later on down the line. But being established in the middle from the get-go, because what does that do? It draws the offense or the defenders to your middle if he is a weapon, right? I give a lot of credit to one of our starting middles from my boys' team nationals. He understood that. He was not the greatest hitter. He was not the quickest blocker. But when he knew that the middle was drawing to him, you could see him coming off the court and telling our setters, like, hey, keep baiting me, because it's going to leave over blah, blah, blah on the right side, or leaving outside over here. They're ready to go. They're going to keep following me. You set him. It's going to be a solo block on him. And I give a lot of credit because a lot of middles won't do that. A lot of middles will just be like, I'm open. I'm available for the three. I'm running for the back one or something like that. And they want the glory. And you have to get a middle that'll buy in. They aren't given a lot of credit, and they work twice as hard for less rotations than any other player. You have to be able to close the block. And one of the big things we teach our middles is kind of the toe, going on your toe aspect. Like you're kind of half loading on that middle. If you see it's a good pass, you have to be ready and available for what the quick hit can be. As you're going up, you have to be able to kind of recognize what the setter's doing. If you see the setter's pushing up, once you're up on your toes, about to maybe either explode up to kind of help cover or like tap block right out of the quick. Once you're up on your toes, if you see it's going to a pin, now you're on your toes pushing out to the side laterally, whichever way you're going, because you have to be able to recognize those things. And it doesn't help sometimes your pins block out too wide, and now your middle has twice as much distance to cover in order to kind of keep that closed two-man block or whatever it seems. But I think the biggest thing is making sure the middles are established. Because if you establish your middles and you make your middles an option, whether they're a great hitter, whether they tip, whether they just kind of power push the ball, whatever it may be, that's going to do wonders for you as a whole system, as opposed to just setting your outside every single time. And it's a lot of the reason why we introduced the three to our middles, right?
Mhm.
Especially in club level. If you have a setter who can set a perfect three off the 10-foot line, then why not have your middle still be a weapon, right? Because if you want the
Yeah.
middle to be there, you want the defense to still keep their eye motion going, ball setter, ball hitter, ball setter, ball hitter, making them move
Mhm.
around. And if they're recognizing that the middle's pushing out and they start creeping out with them to the outside, now all of a sudden your right side has a solo block on him. There's no way their middle's
Yeah.
going to be able to cover that much ground unless you're a phenomenal, D1
Middle,
looking
yeah.
middle.
Yeah.
But yeah, middles overall, making sure you're available, making sure you do the most with it, because a lot of middles, when they do kind of get in the mindset that I don't get the ball often, so when I do get the ball, I want to crush this shit.
Mhm.
They don't recognize that half the time, because you did a good enough job, their middle on the other side of the net is right in front of you. So we teach them when we're doing hitting lines or when we're doing drills or practice, your only areas that I want you hitting are right here in the left back or right here in the right
Mhm.
back. If you swing right in front of you and you get blocked, I'm going to look at you and you're going to tell me exactly why that happened. And I
Yeah.
better hear you say, I tried to swing straight down in front of me, because
Yeah.
that's what happens. If
Mhm.
it's
It's funny because
just
given to what you were saying, to kind of bounce off your point, I feel
Mhm.
like that the establishment of being kind of like the decoy guy, if you half-heartedly go out as a decoy
Yep.
guy, it makes such a I Like when
Yeah.
they know for sure you're not getting the ball on the other side,
They can
Yep.
like
see.
that.
They can
Yeah,
see it. They
exactly.
literally
Yeah.
see
If
you.
your
Well,
demeanor is like,
this
oh, I
is the
haven't
best
gotten like
part.
10 sets, screw it. Like I'm just gonna go up and jump. Yeah.
Now that boys
Yeah.
season is done, and like our team's like
Here
already
we
done.
go. Spill
No,
it. And then
my middles, we did not set my middles at all. No establishment, nothing. And for some reason, the middles on the other side just stayed, and every team knew we were pin heavy. But like you said, they go in hard. They
Yep.
I said, just be
Oh,
loud
so
and
they were.
obnoxious. But
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
wouldn't get set. Like
Yeah.
we did not set them. I even told our setters like, hey, if you see the middle, stay, whatever. And then as we get to the later parts of the game when we're
Mhm.
just a little bit more up and we need that sneak kill, I was like, now you can set them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
chess
for,
match.
all the way up until like what 12-10 in the third set, you're still running with my middle, and we've only set go ball, go ball, go ball, pick, 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 red,
Yep.
red, red, and literally that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
just like, man,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Crazy.
No, but
it's
that's
crazy.
yeah.
No
and that's what I'm saying
establishment
is,
too.
yeah, because
Mhm.
like nationals, the only reason our middle got all tournament honors is because our setter knew to use him when we could and use him well. Like you had him going up, um, what's it called, Moulton's middle, who ended up
Mhm.
winning MVP of the club division, but we would able to push him out, keep that guy kind of preoccupied with our middle, and
Mhm.
kind of open up some space to the pins. And I think I don't want to say middles should be a decoy, but if you're playing the middle position right and you're coaching the
Mhm.
middle position right, they are a decoy in the best ways possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys coach
Absolutely.
more swing block or more set block?
Yes.
It depends. It depends. Yeah, that's the right answer. That's the right answer.
My
Yes.
middles, I mean, at least all the keys that you guys look at. I also look. My big thing is fast. I don't care about my middles being big. If they are a little undersized, but they're fast and they can get to the ball and they can put their hands up to get a touch block and maybe the occasional stuff block, I care way more about that than I do about some big 7-foot oaf that can't move side to side. Because at the end of the day, that's what the middle position is, at least for me. And as far as how I approach coaching it, I'll use my all district middle from Howell last year. He was a project a little bit when I came into the program 2 years ago. So he wasn't quite, he was a super jack, like athletic dude, funny guy, like big charisma, but he still didn't quite understand the nuances of why we run certain things as a middle, how to read and get side to side and all that good stuff. So the first year I was there, it was going over that footwork, understanding how quickly you can cheat by just kind of closing and tap blocking with your hands, all that good stuff. And then we worked on his arm speed in the gym every day, just getting that arm up quick and snapping a ball down. And then by the time he got to his senior year last year, the way our team was built was we didn't have pins, so we had to be really good at serve receive and free ball control. And then we just set the living daylights out of that kid. He led our team with attempts as a middle blocker and kills.
That's huge.
So
People don't realize that is huge.
That is, it's the most unconventional offense I've ever put together, but it worked. Like we could run him on a 31, we could run him on the back one. We'd put in kind of like a half. It's like a hook, so it's a slide off one right behind the setter, all that good stuff.
31 is my favorite set.
He ran that like a monster, man, and I loved him for it.
What I would also say, and it's because the position is middle blocker.
He was more of a middle hitter. I'll give it. He was definitely a middle hitter.
But we go through the schematics of actually blocking. Like a lot of these players, it doesn't matter if you're pin or if you're middle. You go up, and we always use the term you're chasing the ball. Like you're going and you're trying to lean with it as it's whether you see the set pushing out.
Question mark blocking.
Yes. Exactly. And I tell them, I was like, hey, you're going up and across, and what your goal is once you see where their arms are dropping, you're dropping forward and in. You're not going side to side. Like the whole point is to engage your core last second, watch the shoulder. You're dropping it in so you can see where your platform can actually produce something. Our middles, I mean, not necessarily mine, but if you look at middles, because they always feel the urge to, I need to catch up to where my block is, they're going to go here, and they're going to try to close as much space above the net that they don't need to, because that's going to cause you to get tooled. That's going to cause a lot of defensive discrepancies in the back row. So I don't know if Jared or you guys kind of agree with this, but usually when I tell like, hey, if you're going over and you know you're not going to close the block, just go up and straight over, because what that's going to do is that my back row defense can at least see where's the hole. If you add the other factor of you dropping in, that's going to create something completely different, and now we're all in the wrong position. So really, like, it's up and across every single time. If you're late, just get up and across, leave the hole, because our defense should be wise enough to see that hole rather than you drifting over and flying in and everything's all jumbled up in that. So
100%. That's the main key for us, is just take space. I don't care what kind of block it is, whether it's a pin block, middle block. I like take space so our defense can fill. Because I still kind of had our hope defense in there. We set up on the edge. We keep everything in front of us. We let our kids see the ball. And I wish more coaches would kind of install that style of defense, whether it's, whether you want to do your perimeter or your rotational, whatever it is, but like understanding that process of keeping the ball in front of you and reading the ball, because I get so many kids in my gym that are like, oh, well, you watch the hitter's body. And I was like, oh, really? So if I'm a hitter, my body's facing you, right? I'm only going to hit this way, right? Idiot. Okay. The ball can't lie to
dumbass.
You know what I mean? So teaching them like how to read the ball, not the hitter, the ball itself, and how that ball can get into those spaces from the back row is mostly dictated on how well your front row blocks. So definitely as a middle, being able to get there, press forward, take space. And also just being okay with missing a block. I think that was the other big thing I always tell my middles, like, dude, it's okay. Like, you're not perfect. You're not going to get to every read, but like, if you're not doing something afterwards, like going to cover or peeling on the net for a tip, like that's where I have an issue, is when middles get beat and then they just stand there and they look, instead of being like, oh crap, I'm not even going to get there. I'm just going to go like cover a tip or do something productive on the volleyball.
I like to teach my boys that blocking, the goal of blocking is not to get a block. The goal of blocking is to slow down the offense so that we can run something. And once you do your job, you have to move on and do the next job and the next job. Yeah. It's kind of like, in that vein, it's like football. You don't stop moving until the whistle blows. Like, there's always something for you to be doing, whether that's getting open, becoming a decoy, whether that's moving, whether that's creeping in to cover a block, cover a hit. You have to make sure that you're constantly moving, because as Keone mentioned earlier, if you see a middle who's doing half-ass movement, all of a sudden their defense knows exactly what's not going to happen, and they can kind of react off of that. So just making sure you do your job to slow down what their offense is. And people don't realize, if you make a hitter roll shot or tip around you, you are slowing down the offense.
You've won.
Yeah, you've won. You've created, you've made them go to beach shots or whatever you want to call it. And if once you do that, I think you'll start recognizing that, okay, my job is becoming a lot easier knowing I don't have to actually put my fingerprint on the ball every single time.
Exactly.
With that said, the psychology of getting a big old block, definitely.
Oh,
I
listen,
mean, not just that, but it sets up that whole like where the rest of the game you're just looking at the guy like, you want to try to go again?
Come on, let's go to
Jared, seeing as you are probably one of the more seasoned coaches, I'll say in the chat, how do you go about coaching your middles, boys, girls, adult nationals, whatever the hell?
Like a dry aged Wagyu.
That it wasn't me. It was him. You're only hurting me.
I'm just kidding. Man, there's a lot that I could talk about. So, little background, like for the listeners that don't know, Coach at Hope, and I was actually responsible for middle blockers. So, teaching them and a lot of different things. First off, we'll talk about what kind of player I want. I love tall players. I mean, it's like you can't teach height. It's hard. I mean, you get it. It's hard to find. But if you get it, you get it. But if not, I want somebody mid-size, good athleticism, really knows how to move side to side. And one of the things that I look for, if you are undersized, you got to be one of those great teammates who wants to work for the team and not for yourself. Because you got to be, hey, I got to watch the middle. I got to get to the pin. I got to do this. I got to do that. And then the next thing you instill in them, of course, besides footwork and great arm work is, hey, if you're not doing that, if you're not blocking, you better be off blocking. If you can't do this, you better be doing something. Because if you're not, then you're just costing the team, basically, plain and simple. For me, like blocking techniques, I love how Nolan talked about being on your toes. I also teach the better the pass, the higher the hands.
Yep.
Better the pass, higher the hands, because if you start low and it's a good pass and you're trying to explode and get up big, like you're going to be late. And on a middle hit, on a quick hit, it's way too, like, it's not going to happen. It's really not. You're not even going to get a touch. Ball's going to be gone by the time you get over the net or you shoot your hands over the net.
Keep it here.
Exactly. Your elbows should be kind of by your chest already because you want that high arms up. As you're blocking, I love how we all touched on it. For me, it's just about shooting your hands over the net.
Yep.
Like you have to break the plane, no matter if your wrists over, if you're big and elbows over, like you got to just break the plane. And then teaching them how to dive. As a middle, everybody knows you're one-on-one mainly, right? You don't really get a big help block if it's a fast offense and everybody's going to the pins, but you got to teach them how to dive across the net. Hey, watch the hitter. Oh, he's going to go left. I'm going to shoot my hands over and take away that area. Nolan talked perfectly about it. Keone touched on it as well. And you, Jay, like your job is not to just get blocks. Your job is to take away bounces, in my opinion. Like if you're taking away the bounce and they have to hit over you, that means the ball has to travel at a different angle or a different trajectory that puts the ball in the defender's lap. And that means you did your job. You get touched, great. You slow, like you guys said, slow the offense down, great. But I mean, in my that regard, that it is what it is. For me, it depends on my middle. We tried going straight over wherever you were if you were really late. But if you're trying to close, we don't mind your hands drifting into the seam as long as they're breaking the plane on top of finishing the move. But the one thing that a lot of coaches don't really talk about, or like that I hear a lot, is what you're doing with your left hand. If so, say we're going to the go ball and you're going to your right and your right's trying to close the block and it's trying to get there, you got to make sure you're dragging that left hand over the net and using it kind of like a windshield wiper where you're just dragging it there. So you take away that sharp angle or that deep corner angle. Yeah, it's got to be high here and then or dragging here. So at least it's over. So if they do try to go there, you're still protecting something.
Yeah, I really wish that, like, I mean, as you get into the higher levels, it's easier to do so. But like, if you could really take the time as much as you can with these younger kids and do like a slow-mo of really like on the net video footage of what their arms look like.
Yeah.
A lot of the times they don't understand. A lot of it is trajectory. A lot of it is the physics of it all. Like what kind of plank am I making across the net that's going to redirect the ball in a certain angle?
Facts.
If they just windshield wiper not breaking the plane, like Jared just said, that's literally the worst kind of way you can kind of describe.
That's the worst block you want possible.
Yeah. They don't see it when they're in the motion because it's a split second once they're going up on the net, right? They don't recognize that, hey, your hands weren't across. Like, no, I did. It's like, well, they did it after the swing happened, and that's why it didn't work. And we teach our hitter or teach our blockers a lot. And a lot of it evolves as you get into higher speeds. You're
Mhm.
watching the hitter's arm, right? You're watching when he's about to hit, not when the hitter jumps. Because when you get a hitter who can fly and float for a little bit, and you're jumping with him, he's going to catch your block when you're on the way down, right when he
Yeah.
swings. So if you're
Yeah.
watching and you know the arm speed of this hitter, you have to go ball setter, ball hitter's arm to see when he's loading for that swing. Because if you find someone that takes a second and then full swings, and you're going up and watching his body, you're going to get used every single time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Every time.
Yeah, so there's just a lot with it. You guys talked a lot on the offense side, so I'll probably talk more over the defensive side of things. But like at higher levels, so like if we're watching USA volleyball, you notice the middles don't front their hitters wherever they are,
No.
right? But
No.
at the club level, because they don't really run a lot of trick plays, because the BIC is an option, but you always want to stop what's in front of you at the net. So if they're all constantly running threes, we push the middle over. Hey, front your guy, because like you said, a 31's a fast set. You got to be able to stop the fastest motion, and then from there we'll make do. Like if obviously they don't set the middle and they're only running pins and bics, like how Concordia used to run a 31 bic. I mean, then you kind of keep them a little more central. Say, hey, right side, help me out just a little bit. Maybe we'll start a little bit to the right, but not fully front that zone. And then, hey, the pick's coming. I'll dive back in. But you got to prioritize your hitters. Great passes. You have to make sure basically it's like go in the progression. Is it a setter dump? Is it a quick attack? Is it the next quickest attack? Is it a high ball outside? Or is it a back row attack? Because back row attacks, I mean, depending on how fast they run their offense, most times it's a little slower of a set, and you can be late to that. But I mean, for me, like blocking is just, I mean, the middle blockers. If I was 6'1", 6'2", I would love to be a middle.
Yeah.
I love playing it, even at 5'9", like at open gyms or even at adult nationals or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's so much fun when I'm in shape. That's a whole different story.
Yeah, it's like when
if
you're
I'm not in shape, then
dying
Let's face
after
it,
5 minutes,
I
you
don't
play
have
the
some
middle.
long
Yeah.
arms.
You guys watch some of my highlight videos. You're lucky if I even get a block at like a full max jump. I'm like, oh, I'm going to soft block and then make sure I dig out on you guys. Middle blocker, it's all you, bro. I'm going all the way to the pin. And yeah. But yeah, I think Nolan hit on it though. And Keone as well. Like, just got to be available on the offensive
Thanks,
end.
Jared. Thanks for mentioning me. Thanks.
Got to be available. If you're not available, what are you doing for the team? And Jalen as a setter will tell you, you set the tempo for the offense. So if you aren't that quick guy, we have no idea how to set the pick. We have no idea how fast we want to go to the pin. I mean, it's of course it's mental for us because like as a setter, you know the touch that you want, but visually, like, man, it's really a pop and it's a pop here. And then, but if you don't have that first pop, like it's just like, okay, the hitters, it's more the hitters that don't know what they're doing than anything else because they have that visual for it. But
100%.
yeah.
I mean, even stepping away from a setter's perspective, right? Like the opposing team across the net, I tell this to all my pins regardless. Like, guys, we need to get off the net aggressively and start like shouting at the top of your lungs. Because when you see a team that transitions quickly and is shouting like "Go go 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 go!" Like you're like, "Oh dear God in heaven, what is
As a blocker,
like as a blocker, you're
it's
just
like okay, what do you do? And yeah,
but so and the middle's a big part of that.
So for me, when I have a team like that, I'm literally just like, hey guys, we're 1-on-1. Stay with your front row hitters. If they do set a back row attack or a BIC, like back row, that's your responsibility. Like that's the mentality that Henry has kind of instilled, and for me at least. Like a lot of my theories or a lot of the way I play my offenses and defenses come from what I've learned from him and how we've had to run it at Hope at the higher collegiate levels. I will say I love how Jalen talks about middle hitters. Because like, yeah, that kid can be a middle hitter, but when you're a priority, man, even more so, just get him the ball. I have a kid, I played with him my freshman year, his freshman year, my senior year, I was setting at Hope, and great.
Chase?
I think Chase is like 6'6", 6'7". He's a big boy, tall, skinny twig like Griffin. I never set him once. He kind of hated me in the beginning, and he knew. But I would throw my hand up and say, "Hey, hit a 3." But he'd be the biggest decoy. He'd learn how to block. This kid literally was, and as he grew, as he got more seasoned, 2-time All-American. I think like 2-time first team GSAC. And man, the one thing that was awesome about it is he really just worked on the defensive side of the ball, no matter what happened, whether wasn't getting set. And then at junior, senior year, of course, you're older and you know your hitting percentage, you get more vocal. But this is what I'm going to tell hitters, and you guys may contradict it, but if you're not getting set, it's not me, it's not the setter, it's your fault. Because
Correct.
A, you're not
Yeah.
demanding the ball, and B, you're not really showing that you want it enough. So Chase said, Coach, I'm not getting enough sets. I was like, well, are you talking to anybody? And Henry literally was right here. And he goes, you're not getting set because you're not demanding the ball. And if you're not demanding the ball and you're not talking to your setter and demanding it from your setter, then why am I going to set you? Plain and simple. So it works on both sides. Like, you got to work on the defense side of the ball because you want to be rewarded. But at the same time, if you're doing that and you're not getting set, maybe you need to have a talk with your setter about demanding a ball. But just understand that if you're not one of the best hitters and you don't have the stats to prove it or the efficiency to prove it, because we don't get set a lot, then the setter's probably going to tell you, well, you don't put the ball away. I'm going to ask you, Jay, as a coach, out of 10, like, because you like to run your own program, though, honestly.
Yeah.
Out of 10 balls, and as a setter, sorry, as well, 10 balls, how many times like does the middle get set in one set?
Dude, on a good day, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So what
3
should
or
your
4.
hitting efficiency be? Like
At least,
if you're getting 4.
At least, 60, 70%. Like it should be clinical if we get a middle one-on-one.
I think
or we get a free
it should be
opportunity.
3. You should put 3 of the 4 balls away, if anything, because maybe they'll get lucky or like get a lucky touch.
Block
once you
touch,
start
you
to,
get
right?
house if it was a trap
Yeah.
set, something weird.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But-
you're gonna hit 500, you're gonna hit 750, and if you're not hitting that and you can't back it up, I mean, yeah. For me, that's why I love that you started with that. You're a middle blocker first, and then you're a decoy next, and then from there you can be established and everything. But but
I think genuinely some kids are middle blockers. They just excel in the middle blocking, and their hitting's like okay. And then you have other guys that just have 40-inch verticals and they are middle hitters, but then when they go to block, it's not as consistent. So it's like if you have one of each on your team, you're going to do great, because on one rotation you're all offense, next rotation you're bolstering the defense. Where you'll struggle is if you have, let's say, 2 middle hitters on the same team in your rotation, or 2 middle blockers on the same team in your rotation. The middle blockers won't be as bad because at least you'll get some defense, but the middle hitters, without being able to seal and funnel the ball to your back row,
and,
I've been in that world, and it's tough. It's tough.
And I would say the last thing that I would leave with is that you're, like Keone said, like you're the man kind of thing. I think they're one of 2 men, like generals wise. You were the front row general. You're responsible for the blocking assignments, but you also have to understand that the middle blocker needs to work with the back row, the general, which is the libero. So you guys have to make sure you're in constant communication, and that's where I think a lot of middles struggle, because they don't talk to, hey, I'm just gonna block this or do this and do this. No, but like, what are we doing behind us? Like, if you keep doing this and nobody knows what's going on behind you, like, you're gonna get beat every time, whether you have a system or not, because there's gonna be chaotic plays that you're gonna do something and the libero has no idea what you're doing. He's like, why is he doing that? And you're not telling me anything. So I think for me, like they're called the block heads because you're a middle blocker, right? So I think that's the leadership side, at least as a middle blocker in the front row goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, boys, we've did it yet again. Another wonderful team huddle. Hopefully, if you're a coach listening, you took away some good points from all of us here at the Poi and Soy podcast for Team Huddle. Again, if you have comments, suggestions, or questions that you want us to talk about as coaches on the good old Team Huddle, hit us up on social medias. You can find us all over the place. So, Keone, where can they start with you?
You can check me out on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at Kayonee. That's Kayyohknee.
And Nolan Chang.
You guys can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at NolanKYT, NOLANKYT.
Jared Shirai.
I am on Instagram and Twitch at JShirai, JSHIRAI, and on Twitter at JShirai808.
You can find me on Twitter at Jalen Holston. You can find me on Instagram at ArtByJalen. You can find me on Twitch at MochaThanos_LGG. You can find all of us and all of the podcasting stuff that we do here on our Poi and Soy Instagram. I believe it's just at Poi and Soy, right? Is that the
Poi and
at the Poi and Soy podcast right there. So again, blow us up on the socials. Let us know your comments, questions, concerns, and keep it real. I've been me, you've been you, and from all of us here at Poi and Soy, Good vibes and love, everybody.
Vibes and love.
Bang bang.
Shoots, guys.